Welcome to another episode of Top Tips, and this week I want to talk to you about the things that you need to consider when you are going in to talk to suppliers. When you're walking into a supplier, really do look to be inspired by how they put things together. We are the people that put things together as designers, and we love doing it. And so we don't necessarily look to find inspiration in the way others put things together. And I definitely never thought about suppliers as one of, those places that I could look for inspiration in terms of how things are put together. But what I found is the more and more I walk into supplier shops and different manufacturers, actually I'm always really interested by the way they put things together. And don't forget, those are the people who manufacture and have made and have designed these products. So of course, they're looking at it from a very different point of view, and one that you might not have considered. I give you a really great example of where I've seen that recently. You may have watched me walk into OCHRE on the Pimlico Road, and they have a really beautiful showroom. When I went in, I saw the same light that was actually in two different finishes. And actually, I'd never really imagined that you could put those two together. But in actual fact, seeing them together and seeing those lights where I'd usually place them symmetrically, seeing them at an angle just looked so inspiring and so creative and artistic. And it's just something I would have never have thought of doing. And so having their walls as your own mood board is just a great way to see walking into a supplier. I think it's also really important to remember that you can change the way something looks when you walk into a supplier and see something that perhaps you feel you need a different color or a different finish, or just slightly altered, a different size perhaps. So never be too concerned that what you're seeing is the end of the line, the end of the story. There is more there, so do ask, because often it's the case that actually things can be made bespoke, things can be altered. I think when you walk into an antique store, sometimes it can be considered taboo to change something that is an original piece or an authentic piece. And actually, I think something really special about being able to buy antiques and have them in your home is to modernize them and bring them up to date, but then still have that rich history and authenticity that comes with an antique. I always think that you never really know, you may be prolonging the life of that very special piece. I think often we are so busy that we make very little time to go and see suppliers. And I go on about this, go and see your suppliers. It really is important. And where I find it can be most important is with lighting, because lighting is very three-dimensional, and seeing certain pieces of lighting flat on a brochure or online is very deceptive in terms of the real look and feel of a piece. So again, a really great example of this is when I'd gone to visit a couple of showrooms, some lighting showrooms, and you can see how seeing the lighting and walking around it and seeing how that lighting affects not only its surrounding, but actually the wall that the light sits just in front of. There are some lights that when illuminated will create almost an art piece on the wall that they're sitting just in front of. So, things like that can't really be appreciated unless you really are there. Sometimes not just seeing the piece itself flat on a brochure, but seeing the environment that piece sits around is also a really important part of the design process. Knowing how that light will affect the wall directly behind it or directly in front of it. Knowing what kind of light and shade that creates and what effect that has on you personally, seeing it in the flesh. Oh, hello! I'm sorry, I'm so blind I can't see thing for a designer to be. Super blunt. I will make you a coffee in like 5 minutes. Oh yes, I know.